Hello, are you wanting to make your very own website? Well, let's get started. Firstly, what actually makes a website a website? Websites are made up of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. HTML forms the structure and the content of a website, while CSS styles a website. JavaScript adds functionality to a website. All of these three languages pair nicely together to help us build amazing websites. Think of the browser as a paint program and HTML as a set of instructions telling the browser what to paint. Only a browser is a bit more interactive than a paint program. Yes, a bit more interactive. Most HTML elements follow a similar pattern. Think of it like a formula. You start with the opening tag. There are many different tags available in HTML. In this example, we have a HTML header1 element. HTML has 6 headers, with header 1 being the largest and header 6 being the smallest. You may also notice that HTML tags are written in short form. We only write H1 instead of header 1. You've just saved a lot of time. Optionally, HTML elements have attributes inside the opening tag before the greater than sign. HTML attributes often have a value. Next, there is the content in between the tags. And finally, there is the closing tag. The closing tag is the same as the opening tag, except there is a / just after the less than symbol. Now let's go and take a look at the output this code would produce on Replit. Replit is a browser-based integrated development environment where we can build websites. It is extremely easy to code with and has lots of features. So as you can see in the Replit workspace, we have the output here on the right. We have the code in the middle and the files on the left. Replit will provide hosting for all of our websites. To share your website, you can send its link to other people or publish it on the Replit community. Now let's begin building our website. Feel free to follow along on Replit. Here we have a very basic HTML page. In the head section of the HTML page, you put metadata about the page. Here we are defining the title of the page. The title is what appears in the tab name, so it's not actually visible on the page. In the body of the page, you put all the content which you want to be displayed. Now, websites don't go around writing all that text with big headers. So here we have a HTML paragraph element. As you can see, this text is a bit more normal. You can also use a span element for writing text. But what is the difference between a span element and a paragraph element? I have set the background color of both elements now. And as you can see, the paragraph element stretches across the whole width of the page, while the span element only takes up the amount of space it needs to. Because the paragraph element takes up the full length of the page, it is known as a block level element. And the span element is known as an inline element. Block level elements will always create a new line after them, while inline elements can be put together next to each other. Now let's try add an image to our site. Firstly, we need to upload an image. Here we have the image now in our files. Now all we need to do is add an image HTML element and provide the location of the image. This image looks a bit big though, so let's try shrink it a bit on our website. We have now added 2 new attributes to our image, width and height, and provided a value of 100 for both of them. This has effectively shrunk the image. Additionally, I'd just like to point out that I use short form to close the image tag. Both examples here actually work just the same. From this example, you can also see that HTML images are inline elements. Here we have a HTML video. We have provided the width, height, and told the browser to provide the user with controls so that they can play and pause the video, among other things. We have provided the source of the video and an error message for older browsers that don't support HTML videos. Now, you can't provide a YouTube video link for the source of a HTML video. This is because the YouTube page is a whole website and not just a video file. However, to embed YouTube videos onto our page, we can use iframes. Iframes are basically a way of putting a website inside a website. So here we are putting YouTube inside our website. You can embed other websites inside an iframe as well, such as one of your REPLs on Replit. Here we have an unordered list. Unordered lists display list items with bullet points. Ordered lists display list items with numbers. Let's now experiment with links and also creating more pages for our website. Here we have an anchor tag inside our paragraph element. Anchor tags in HTML are a way to move to different pages on our website or different websites. When we try to open page 2, we get a not found error. This is because we haven't actually created page 2 yet. Let's now create page 2. We now have a second page on our website, and I've added the ability to move back to the first page from the second page. Now let's make it more obvious when the user is on page 2. To do this, I have added a bold HTML tag. We could also use an italics HTML tag, an underline HTML tag, or all of them together. Also, the order of the underline, italics, and bold tag do not matter. However, we have now just added some text that is only part of the underline tag and not part of the italics or bold tag. Therefore, it is only being underlined. Let's now take a look at inputs. Here we have a basic text input. We can use the value attribute to provide an initial value and the placeholder attribute to provide a placeholder for when no text has been inputted yet. There are many other types of HTML inputs too, such as an email input, a number input, and a password input. The number input only allows you to input numbers and has arrows allowing you to change it. Password input conceals the characters that you type. You can also create HTML checkboxes. You can also use radio buttons. As you can see, each radio button has a group. There are 2 groups in total, and for each group you may only choose one radio button out of the whole group. Did you notice that all of these input elements are all sharing the same tag name, input? We are actually just changing the attribute type to select which input type we want. As all input elements are inline elements, we are using a tag called BR. It inserts a line break. You can also create buttons in HTML. Here we have an enabled and disabled button. In a later tutorial, we will go over scripting these buttons to make them do whatever we want. This looks very similar. HTML audio is indeed very similar to HTML video. We are providing controls to the user, the location where the audio file can be found, and finally an error message for older browsers that do not support HTML audio. It's important to put these error messages here because everyone uses different browsers and different versions. While it may work for you, unfortunately, it may not always work for other people. Here we have a HTML table. For each row on the table, we use a table row element, and then inside the table row element, for our columns, we use table header elements or table data elements. You may notice that the table does not have any borders around each cell. This is because we haven't styled it yet. In the following video tutorial, we will learn how to style web pages with CSS. I hope you enjoyed the first part of this tutorial. To finish off with, why not start building your own website, just beginning with HTML? Take a look at the example REPL in the description if you need any help or ideas. Thank you for watching.